Thank you everyone for joining today's session. I know it's a Sunday. Most of you have weekends, and some of you are in offices, and some of you are back from universities. Uh, so thank you all for being here. This is the third episode of Coffee with the SOLIDWORKS Champion, and today we have Yahya Khedr. I'm not wrong. Uh,
Awesome.
Yahya with us, and where should I start? From SolidWorks animations or SolidWorks certification series, or the one who is always there whenever someone gets certified or someone posts animation on LinkedIn? Okay, all three of them is the same person. That's Yahya. You have seen him everywhere in SolidWorks user groups, on LinkedIn, on GrabCAD, or on SolidWorks Live. He's everywhere, and today we have him at BLR-SWUG again as our guest of SolidWorks Coffee with the SolidWorks Champion. That's a small introduction from me, and now we are here. It would be great if you can introduce yourself to our users.
Yeah, sure. So obviously, thank you, Prasad, for this amazing introduction. There's nothing else for me to say other than that. I started my journey with SolidWorks a bit earlier than most people because I come from a family of engineers. So something that most people actually don't know, I've been using SolidWorks for well over 7 years, even though I still haven't graduated yet. I started when I was 14 years old, but obviously, as I said, it was just like a hobby thing for me. So I was first into programming, and that was fun. And then I realized that this new world of CAD and designing and stuff. And I tried that out, and I loved it. It was like love at the first sight. And then throughout those years, I started getting more and more into the online communities out there, seeking whether it's seeking help, having questions, answering questions at some point, and so on. Because at that time, I didn't have anyone in my area to help me with SolidWorks, whether it was even in my house or in my school, or even when I went to university, because that's something that most people actually don't know. My major is actually electronic engineering and control, and my minor is mechatronics, but still, I'm not directly involved in the world of mechanics when it comes to my university studies. So online communities were the thing for me, where I would just go and meet everyone like Prasad over here and all of you guys as well. And this is what really got me started with everything else. This is where I learned more about SolidWorks. This is where I learned more about certifications, animations, and the story just went along from over there.
Wow, that's little brief introduction about Yahya, because there's a lot. Like, if you know Yahya, I don't think I have to explain too much about Yahya. Like he said, it's amazing. 7.5 years of 7 years of SolidWorks experience before graduating uni. So, but when you first started, just a small question. When you first started SolidWorks, what was your impression of SolidWorks? Like, what you had in your mind, or why did you start using SolidWorks?
So at that time, I already had like a Facebook page where I would just make programs using Visual Basic, and there was usually like games and stuff, and post them online and get feedback. And I just thought that, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be making programs for my whole life and stuff. And I was really into it. And then one day, my sister, my older sister, she's also in engineering, and she had her own license for SolidWorks, and she was working on it. And I was just looking at, okay, what's she doing? Just doing some extrusion and revolves, and that seems very simple. That's obviously not something for me. And then she just left her laptop and went away. And I said, okay, let me just give it a shot. And I sat in front of the laptop, and I never went away. I just kept playing with SolidWorks, and just because that's what I was doing back then. I was just simply playing, right? I was just figuring out what the software is doing and stuff, and I was mesmerized. It was
Wow.
like, yeah, it was a great experience. Luckily for me, that was in 2016. So that was when they had the new user interface redesign, and everything was looking super cool and super easy to use, and it was intuitive for someone who's just new to the software, even at 14 years old, to start using it. And yeah, that's how it started.
So you used a professional CAD platform as a gaming software.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
Okay,
that's an amazing start.
yeah, I actually don't remember where I read this before, but I'm just gonna steal it from whoever posted it. He was talking about that I'm not a SolidWorks user, I'm now a SolidWorks abuser. I'm literally abusing the software, using it for things it was never meant to be created for. Things like, okay, so for example, this is something that not many people know, even though I've posted it online before. I actually created Shaun the Sheep, you know, Shaun the Sheep from the cartoons. I created it in SolidWorks without using any surfacing tools, only solid modeling features. It was like a 9 or 10 hour long process, but I ended up making SolidWorks, making Shaun the Sheep inside of SolidWorks. So yeah.
I remember this from one of our catching up with the members at BLR-SWUG. You showed that model to everyone who were there. It was amazing. Trust me, if you look at the model, it doesn't look like it was created by using solid models, but it was. Like he even showed the CAD model in the renders. It was just amazing. Wow. So from using SolidWorks 2016 to using SolidWorks 2024, how was the journey?
Well, over
Yeah,
these years,
that
yeah, so
is.
this is the thing I was talking about, yeah, right? Everything in here is created inside of SolidWorks, and this is actually a screenshot. And yeah, this is something that people don't actually realize, that when you start using the software, not just as a tool, but as a software, it's something that helps you create whatever it is that you're trying to create, whether it's something fun like this or a real life project that you're working on, which I've got plenty of a project that I've used SolidWorks for. But the thing is, at some point, you stop thinking of this feature as this is used to create this type of manufacturing thing or this type of end result, and you start thinking of it as a means to create whatever idea I've got in my mind. And that's actually back to your question, how did it differ back in 2016 from now in 2024? So the main thing is, as I evolve and I learn more things, whether it's more things about constraints in design or things to do or things not to do and stuff like that, also the software evolves with me and it starts making some things easier, right? And along that, the community also evolves and more people get into the community. So before that, back in 2016, if I want to start learning SolidWorks, what I did is I went to the help menu, and there were built-in tutorials, and I just went through those. And these were pretty much the like the basics, and maybe even some advanced tutorials as well over there that I went through. And at some point, these are just not enough for you. You finish them. What's next? What's the next step? And this is where the online communities come in place. Whether it's like on GrabCAD, that's where I started, or even on the SolidWorks forums, where you see and experience what like the knowledge that everyone else is sharing. And the more time goes by, the more experiences and knowledges are shared over there. And that's really how it all started. So at first, just me on my own, and then one by one, I'm figuring out that, okay, this person is really knowledgeable and he's sharing his tips and tricks online. Let's go and check what he's saying, and so on. Till I come to this day in 2024, why my calendar is pretty much fully booked. There is no day that goes by without me being in some sort of SWUG meeting somewhere away across the world, maybe like a continent away or something, just learning about new stuff. And I'm always learning new stuff. That's the thing. Yeah, I might have been using the software for 7 years. I might also be a certified SolidWorks expert, but that doesn't mean that I've stopped learning and I've stopped creating and I've stopped sharing what I've learned throughout these years as well, right? It's always this iterative process where you're advancing your own skills, but you're also gaining more knowledge and figuring out that there's this wide area that you still have never even got into, and you're still learning a bit and bit more and more and sharing what you know, but still learning more and so on. It's just this going on loop thing.
That's a great advice for all the SolidWorks learners. Like never stops learning. No matter where you are, you always have to start. I mean, you always have to learn.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
actually, back before we started the session, we were talking about the session from Betty Baker, Joe Lance, and John Matrishan at 3D Experience World. So that's actually one of the sessions that I actually ended up learning something new from. So the session is called Jazzy Tips and Tricks, if anyone wants to go and look it up. And that was one of the sessions that were like, okay, midway through the session, I was like, okay, these are super cool, and the environment and the vibe is super cool, but I still haven't learned anything else. and then in the middle, someone just mentioned something and they show it on screen and like, I never knew that. And that's it. That's all it takes. Imagine if I was like, okay, I've got 7 years of experience inside of SolidWorks. Who am I to go and just attend a tips and tricks session? Well, if I was in that attitude, I would never learn that thing I learned, right? And it was very simple. By the way, I'm going to share it real quick because let's say someone else doesn't know it. Here it is. If you open multiple viewports inside of SolidWorks, so maybe you've got your front view here, your side view here, maybe your trimetric view here, and maybe like a section cut view here or whatever. You've got multiple viewports. If you double click on one of them, it goes away. And I never knew that. And that's something I actually do use in SolidWorks quite a lot. But yeah, how would I ever know that if I wasn't there where someone else was sharing his own tips and tricks, right? And this is the thing. If someone at some point decided that, okay, I've learned some stuff, but I'm not gonna keep this cycle going on and I'm not gonna share it, well, yeah, good for you. But there's obviously gonna be someone else who's also going to learn it and he's going to share it. And everyone's going to be more appreciative of the person who shares the knowledge that he's getting, more than someone who's got the information for himself. Because at the end of the day, I'm not sharing this for the likes and the views. I'm sharing what I know because someone else has already shared with me back in the day things that I've learned, and even till this day, someone is still sharing things that he's learning, and that's how I'm growing, right? So at any point in time, if I decide that I'm not going to help others, well, others helped you. So you weren't in the place you are in right now without the help of others, right? So I'm just doing to others what people did to me back in the day.
Great. I mean, even if I go to Meetup now to check all the SWUG sessions, I can still see your profile picture in every SWUG session. No matter if you are presenting or anybody else is presenting, I always see the attendees in the attendees list. Yahya T Khedr name.
Yeah, because
That's
as I said, you
yeah.
don't know when you're going to learn something new, right? And
Yes.
if it's said once and that's it, that's a chance that you actually lost of learning this new stuff. Whatever the new information is, as I said, it can be as basic as double clicking to close a viewport, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I think everyone should follow this. No matter where you are, always keep learning and never feel like I don't know who said this, but there was this saying that if you are learning something, learn it like you're a beginner. Don't learn it like you know the stuff already. But if you are attending anything, basically it doesn't matter what it is. In this case, it's SolidWorks. It may be something else. Just start at when you are in a session. Just think that you are a beginner, not expert. So that's when you learn. That's when you open your mind for learning. But that's a great one, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
second that as well.
so now you said that now you have CSWE. So how did the certification journey start?
Okay, I believe it was back in 2020 when I got my first certification. My very first was the CWA and P. I got them on the same day, actually. So let me just recap. Like, let's go even before that. I knew that there was the certification program, but I never knew what it was for or how it was approached, how I should even go and get a certification, or even why should I even be caring about these things. And then at some point, an opportunity came and it presented itself to me, and I was like, okay, let me see if this is actually going to be useful for me or not. And that's how it started. I just went to the certification website and started, okay, reading more and more about what this certification is for. And okay, this exam includes this and this and this. At that point, I was already using the software for about 3 or 4 years. So I already had the experience, but this was a new way for me to showcase that experience, right? And then I said, okay, this is a challenge. Let's go and take it. And as I said, I took the CWA and P on the same night, A after P, and I passed them both. And I was like, okay, that's great. Now I know that I'm a certified SolidWorks professional. And I just said, okay, this is probably going to be it. And little did I know that was just the beginning, because in less than a year after that, I was already passing professional advanced exams in like surfacing and drawing tools and weldments and sheet metal and stuff, all the way until I got my CSWE. And fun fact, actually, so today is the 31st of March, right? I got my CSWE on the 27th of March back in 2021. which was actually the night before my 19th birthday. So it was like my own gift or present to myself for becoming 19 years old. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great gift actually.
It's the
CSWE.
best gift. No one can ever top that. Obviously, no one can top that. Yeah.
So 2021, it started the moment you took your CSWA and P at the same time. So
Yeah, and as I said, at the beginning, it was just something that I didn't know about until I read about it, right? And then I realized, okay, so this is a good way for me to showcase my skills, and this is a good way for me to even challenge myself to know where am I amongst the other like 7.5 million users around the world. Because that's not a small number. When I say 7.5 million users, that's like a massive country, not even a city or something. I'm talking about like it can be like a very big city maybe, or like at the size of a country, right? And then I'm talking about you ranking yourself in between all of these people. For the CSWP, I believe there's like what 200,000 across the world, something like that. Not that much, maybe even less. No, that's actually CSWA. Let me just check real quick. And then the same thing when it comes to the CSWE, that's only like 7,000 right now. Back when I took it, it was only like 5,000. I was actually the 5,104th CSWE, or somewhere around that. Yeah, and that's the thing. You're just making sure that your skills are up to date and that you're actually ranking yourself, knowing where you are throughout the world. Plus, it opens way more opportunities for you when it comes to like internships or even jobs if you're a graduate, where you're already showcased that you've reached this certain level of skills inside of the software. And it's not just skills in using SolidWorks, but it's also skills in that industry in general. So, for example, if I'm talking about a certification like the sheet metal exam, so in that exam, if you don't know what the K factor is or what ratio you should use when you're bending your sheets or how you should create your edge flanges and stuff like that, if you don't know that industry specific knowledge, you won't actually be able to pass the exam, even though you might know how to use the tools and commands inside of SolidWorks, right? And the same thing goes for any other thing. When we're talking about things like maybe like simple drawing, CAD drawing, if you don't know how to read model dimensions and look at multiple views and understand how the model is going to look like and stuff like that, and realize, okay, this actually means that this type of hole is this millimeters deep or this millimeters wide and stuff like that. Reading these kind of things, these are all not directly related to CAD, but they're used in CAD. These are industry related knowledge, right? And if you've got this knowledge and you've got the capability of using the software at a proficient level where you're good to go and take the exam and you end up with a certificate that is just a way to say that, guys, I'm recognized as a certified in this software, in this industry level software, in this topic, let's say, for example, mechanical design or sheet metal simulation or whatever, at this level, which is associate, professional, or even expert. And it's just a way to show people, okay, this is where I stand, and also a metric for yourself to say, okay, at this point, I'm a CSWP maybe. I started using the software more and more and learned and gained more experience. Let's see, for example, if I take the CSWE exam and I pass the exam, I now know that my skills have raised as well, right? So it's just a way of making sure that you're growing and your experience is not where it is. It's actually like a growing process.
So what tip would you give for the the users who want to take the exam, CSWAP, whatever the exam it may be? So what tip, one single tip you would give for the uh, exam takers, so that they don't feel discouraged, or when, I mean, not, I'm not saying that everyone will everyone may not be able to pass the exam, but I think I'm not weldments, not weldments, sorry, mold tools. I took the exam twice for me to pass the exam. So something like that. Maybe there are few difficult exams, maybe E as well. So what tip you would give for the users when it
Yeah,
comes to
so
taking the exam?
yeah, there are some general tips for any exam, which is prepare right. And the best way to prepare is to know what you're getting yourself into and for that, I always tell anyone who asks me, okay, how do I prepare for X exam, whatever exam it is, go to the main source, go to the certification website and go to the scroll down in that website, and you're going to find the exam you want to take and click on the exam information button. And this is the web page dedicated for just that exam. It's going to tell you information like how long the exam is, how many questions it includes, and also the topics and the commands inside of SolidWorks that it's going to test you and make sure that you've got skills in, right? And go through that list and make sure that you're actually proficient in all of these. And I'm not talking about proficiency that you've got like this theoretical knowledge, but also hands-on practical knowledge as well. So I can know theoretically that an extrusion is pulling a 2D sketch in one direction. Okay, that's good, but if you sit inside of SolidWorks, can you actually use the extrude command and know all the different options and settings in it? If yes, okay, you're good to go. If no, then you don't know what the extrude command is. So that's the thing. Go through this list of features and commands and stuff, and make sure that you're actually proficient in each of them, and you've got hands-on experience and stuff. And then if you've got this and everything is good, okay, the next step is obviously the sample exam, if there is. Not all the exams have sample exams, so obviously the CSWE level exams, they don't have sample exams, but most of the other ones do. So whether it's like sheet metal or mechanical design, associate or professional, whatever, there is a sample exam for that. So go and take that. And it's gonna give, it's not like a one-to-one example of what you're gonna find in the real exam, obviously, but it's just a way of making sure that you know how the questions will be presented to you, and also how the exam setting is going to look like. When you sit inside of Tangix Tester, the software that we take exams in, and you see the time shown at the very bottom, and you've got the pictures over here and the question over here and multiple choices to choose from, next button. Now you've already familiarized yourself with the exam setting, so that when you take the real exam, you're not just figuring this out. You already have an idea of what to expect, and then you can just go ahead and start answering questions. So these are the first two things to do. Go and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Go and through the list of features or commands and stuff that the exam is going to test you in. And then if there's a sample exam, go and take that. And obviously, if there's an option to take the sample exam inside of Tangix Tester, then that's the way to go. That's only for the CWA and P, only for these two in mechanical design, but that's enough. Go and take these inside of the Tangix Tester, familiarize yourself with the exam setting, and then if everything goes well and you pass these exams, then you now know that you're good to go for the real exam. If not, then at least you now know which areas that you need to improve in. Because let's say, for example, I go through the list of features and one of them, I don't even know what that is. I go and it tells me, okay, you have to know what standard mates is. And then I'm like, what are standard mates? I don't know. Then I know that I have to go and look for standard mates and learn more about them. Let's say I do pass all of these, and then I go for the sample exam, and in the sample exam, I get introduced to a certain question, and I don't know how to even approach the answer or what to even do. And then after I finish the exam, maybe I fail or something, but then it shows me like a summary and tells me, okay, in drafting, you're good to go. In, let's say, mating or assemblies and stuff, not that much. In drawing views, and you've got like the perfect score and so on. And it tells you which areas that you're good at, which areas you're a bit not that much, and which areas do you need like much improvement in. And based on that, you go and start learning more and improving and stuff. And the main thing to go with here, which is actually related to what you just said, it's not the end of the world that you actually failed an exam. It's just a learning lesson for you to know which areas you're not that ready for yet, and then go ahead and start learning more and more in those areas and focusing your time and effort in those areas. And after that, now you're now a full, like an all-rounded user in that topic. And now you can go and take the exam once again. If not, don't discourage yourself. That just means that you haven't reached that level yet, right?
Wow, I'm sorry. So guys, if anyone here is thinking of taking the exam, this is your sign. Start preparing, take that exam. And now that many events are happening from the 3D experience, Dassault systems, and also there are multiple vouchers as well. So now whenever there is a chance, utilize that opportunity and just prepare well, take the exam and become certified. What do you
Yeah,
say,
and by
Yahya?
the way, I just checked the number of certified SolidWorks professionals worldwide. That's only 228,000.
Yeah.
That's less than $250,000. And for the CSWA, that rises a bit to 500,000 across the whole world. And that might seem to be a lot, but when you think that this is 500,000 out of 7.5 million, okay, now we're talking, right? And then you go all the way up for the CSWE, and that's only like 7,000, sorry, and some like 7,400 and some, and that's even like the elite of the elite, right? What that actually does mean is that you're actually getting better and better in the software and learning more and more. And this is a good indication for yourself to know that, okay, I'm not standing still, I'm actually progressing and I'm actually learning more in the software. And this is my proof, right?
Yes. And there are 7.2 million SolidWorks users in the community. So amongst this, 500,000 CSWP, 700,000 CSWA, and 7,000 CSWE. Wow. So guys, gear up, be one of the 700,000 and 500,000, and later 7,000. Get certified. So,
Yeah.
well, I found something very unique. I'm just gonna share my screen and wait before that. Yeah. So, do you remember this by any chance?
Oh my God. Yeah, I do. Where did you get that from?
Yeah, I did my study.
Okay. Well, it's still online. If anyone wants to go and get it, it's
Yeah,
still online.
wait, let me
And I
share
know where
that
you got
screen
it
as
from.
well. Yeah, yeah.
I think I know where you got it from.
I'm sharing my
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, here it
That
is.
was me back in, wow, that's a
Okay,
very
it's
long
not.
time ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Memories are coming back, man. Yeah. So actually, by the way, this is actually linked to something I was talking about. You see this YTK Productions thing? This was the page that I had on Facebook where at first it
Okay,
was called YTK Programs, where I just
okay.
used to share the programs I created. And then I started getting to the world of CAD and creating models and animations and renderings. And then I wanted to share these. So I just renamed the page to YTK Productions.
Okay.
Back in that was that 14-year-old me. So don't judge him for these choices, please.
No, no, not at all. I just wanted to know which era was this when Yahya, you know, like
Fun fact, actually,
when?
I sent my mini factory an email to delete this account, and they still haven't responded for me. So
Okay.
yeah, because I mean, look at me. Yeah, I actually forgot the password, I believe. And fun fact, by the way, you see this the background image where it says YTK Productions. This is
Yeah.
actually a screenshot from inside of SolidWorks.
Yeah, I can see the blue background on the behind
Yeah,
behind the CAD. Yeah.
that's before dark mode got introduced. The moment they introduced dark mode, I'm now a fully dark mode user for
Uh,
everything. Dark mode, everything. The dark mode,
That's the
Windows,
best
dark mode,
one, best
SolidWorks,
advantage.
obviously, dark mode, everything. But back in the day, I used to use this 3 point cut, 3 color point thingy in
Yeah.
SolidWorks.
I mean,
And
I
look
don't
at
know.
the logo, man. That logo is actually created inside of Paint, MS Paint.
Oh,
And
wow.
if I recall correctly, this was Paint 2007. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's super old.
Or Paint on Windows 7. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
My God.
I mean, look at
But
the
yeah,
shapes. There was these like ready shapes, custom shapes, the lightning shape and the banner thing, and I just drew these things inside of Paint and then wrote some like YTK production and stuff. And yeah, as I
wow,
said,
this
14-year-old me, don't judge him.
so I was just looking at you know, I thought, okay, let's do my study. I mean, GrabCAD can't be the only place where Yahya was present before. And then suddenly see this thing, Yahya T Khedr on, I forgot the platform's name, but anyways, then Mini Factory sounds something similar. So when I clicked on it, I was surprised. Who is
Yeah,
this guy?
yeah. So this
Great.
was actually, by the way, this model was a challenge. It was a
Oh,
3D design challenge for one of the. Actually, he's a pretty famous YouTuber. He's called the 3D Printing Nerd.
oh,
He's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Joel Telling, yeah, and he was just he made this competition for designing stuff, and then I just wanted to participate, and I created the account and created the model, and that was my submission, and that's why
Wow.
it's only that one thing because
One
I only
thing.
created the account just to submit for his competition, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah,
So back to the past now.
yeah. Actually,
Great.
that exact model, I still use that model in my presentations till this day.
Oh,
In my SolidWorks animations presentations,
the
I still use that
camera
model and refer
one,
to it.
if is it the camera one?
I think yeah, it is that one, because
Yeah.
the presentation got updated multiple times across every year. I try to update my presentations. So the first like major update was at the beginning of 2023, and then for 2024 I did another like update. So for example, I gave that session for BLR-SWUG back in, I believe it was what,
November. November, I
November,
guess.
right?
Yeah, November. Yeah.
There's actually an update that
Oh,
was done to that, and the last one I presented was in January this year for a user group in New York, and for
okay.
that was like the basics are the same, but it's just that every time you learn a new thing, or maybe the same thing you're trying to present, but you find a better way to present it to people and make it easier for them to understand, you just go ahead and edit it. And I usually just add all of these edits at the end of each year, where I just bundle multiple edits at the same time. But that
So,
model is still there.
wow. So much memories and also so many
Yeah.
updates to the SolidWorks animations. So how many when did you actually start with the animation journey? You started SolidWorks back in 2014, but when did you start your animations journey?
So I created animations back in day one. So if I go back to my very first models that I created, you're gonna find animations of these. But when I talk about like real animations that are like that I would look at and say, okay, I did create this and I'm proud of this. Because at some point, I was also one of the guys who just went, okay, add the motor, use the animation wizard, say next, done. I've got the animation. And sorry, looking back at these animations now, I obviously won't approve. But if I'm gonna say, okay, when did you really get into animations and start putting time and effort in them? That was definitely in like 3 years ago. So it's around the same time as now, also at the beginning of 2021. And I believe it was um, during my animation journey, right before actually I posted my certification journey on LinkedIn, I started sharing my animations. So what I did is that it was, I believe it was February or March, and it was like 30 days of creating animations. And I started creating multiple animations in that 1 month. And I just posted them all in one single post on LinkedIn. And then that post went viral. So if I check that post now, it's got like uh, maybe like 200,000 views on LinkedIn, right? And it was just massive. It was like, and I was like taken aback by the amount of support from the community and stuff. And that's what really got me into, okay, people do like seeing a good animation. And from that point on, I started putting more time and more effort into my animations. And then I said, okay, I know how to create animations, and I see that most people struggle a bit with them because there isn't that much talk about it, and there isn't that much resources about that shared online. So why don't I go and share my own 2 cents about it? And obviously, I didn't get up one day and say, okay, let's create some tutorials and stuff. It all started back when someone who might be with us in this meeting said, okay, Yahya, we want to present at a user group meeting. And that one, his first name starts with Prasad, maybe. and that was actually the easiest way for me to start sharing my animations, right? So user groups, there are user groups in multiple countries around the world, and sometimes in the same country there are multiple user groups. Maybe in India, I believe I presented at like 5 or 6 different user groups in India alone. And this is one of the easiest way to share your tips and tricks and share your 2 cents basically with SolidWorks users from all around the world. And then the pinnacle, the cherry on the top, was in 2022 also, when I gave the my very first 3D Experience World presentation, also on animation. It was called Behind the Scenes of SolidWorks Animations. And this was when I started saying, okay, for the past like year or so, I was only sharing the basics, how to start. Like, if you're this is the very first time you sit inside of the motion manager inside of SolidWorks, what to do. That's what I was always sharing. But when I went to World, I said, okay, obviously it was virtual, so you know what I mean. I said, okay, now let's take this to the next level. Let's give like an advanced session, because everyone now knows the basics, or that's what I thought. And then I said, okay, let's do more advanced things. And the feedback I got from that session was great, by the way. And although I haven't given it that presentation once again since that, but I do intend on giving another advanced animation session pretty soon.
Great. So just keep me posted on that, and I will jump into the session to
Yeah, for
watch the
sure.
updated and the advanced animations, and maybe we can have you again at BLR-SWUG again.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, man.
So now coming to, I mean, I never got to ask this question. So how was your first SWUG session? As in, what were you, how was your experience starting with the SOLIDWORKS user group networks as a presenter?
I'd say it wasn't that much different from what I expected, because I had already known pretty much many of the notable users in the community, right? And knowing these people online is one thing, but seeing them is something else, right? There's this new depth. So I can write comments and post questions all day long and get answers from you and stuff. But the moment we open our webcams and start seeing each other, that's a different thing. But you're still you and I'm still me, right? Sorry. So it was pretty much the same thing, but just added a new depth in the connection between me and other users from all over the world. And it also started sharing, okay, so when I'm just a listener inside of a meeting, okay, I can get some feedback and stuff, and sorry, give some feedback to the presenter, or I can just sit as a listener, right? And for me, it wasn't really that much of a thing until I started presenting myself. And I found that I actually seek feedback from others to know what to improve on, know if I need to slow down a bit, or maybe this idea I spent too much time on, or maybe this part wasn't explained correctly and stuff. And I started knowing, okay, this is what I see as a presenter. So later on, when I attend meetings myself, I always keep an eye on that, making sure that if I really enjoy it, I tell the presenter that. If I find a bit of an issue at some point, or maybe I've got some feedback to share, I always love to share feedback as well, because seeing it from the other side, you now see what the other person is expecting, or what the other person is seeing from his point of view. And yeah, it was just a moment of enlightenment for me.
Great. So how many SWUG sessions you have given so far, if you have the count? I mean, I know it's more than 10, I guess, because the last
Yeah,
time
it's way
when we had
more.
you,
It's way
yeah,
more than 10. I'd say it's about 20 by this point.
wow,
I had to check, but it's probably like 19, 18, something like that.
wow. So that's, I think it's been 2.5 years since
In the
you,
last 2.5 years, yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's great because I, like you said, in India itself, I have seen you many times, as in the youth groups posting the meetings. It was, I think, more than 5 or 6, like you said, if I'm not wrong, because I remember the youth group names. Maybe I might have missed out on one, and also the first SolidWorks animation session that you gave, that was amazing, a total blast as well. I still remember
Yeah.
that.
And the thing is, you're talking about different user groups inside of India. When we talk about worldwide, I'm talking about, I gave sessions to people in Argentina, in Brazil, in Colombia, in Egypt, in India, Pakistan, and Sudan. And if you're going to count the 3D experience world, so that's for
Yeah.
the whole world as well. So this global scale of sharing what you know, this is the beauty, the real beauty of the slogan of the SolidWorks User Group Network, where one person, wherever he is in the world, can share what he knows with other people from all over the world. And anyone can just join, as you guys are doing right now, and start learning and listening and sharing their own 2 cents as well.
Yeah, that's the beauty of SolidWorks Net user group network and the SolidWorks community. Like, many will get to know in the community itself. Like you said, there are many legends in the community and who would jump into the session sometimes, and then they give their feedbacks, and the presenter gets their feedback. It's an amazing network, no doubt about it. So now, going forward, you started your SolidWorks journey, and then certification journey, animation journey, and next comes the champions journey.
Yeah.
How how did you become a champion? How did you got to know about the SolidWorks champions community? And yeah, how did your champions journey began?
So fun fact, actually, I was one of the I'm not gonna say the first champions, but because the champions program, it started in, I believe, July 2020, and I got into the program in September of 2020. So I was still at the very beginning of the program, but not in the first batch of users and stuff. But from the very first day, it was always this super welcoming, super passionate group of users from all over the world. So see what we're doing here in SWUG, but just put this on steroids as well, right? And where everyone is willing to do exactly what you're doing right now, willing to share, willing to dedicate some time of their own to serve the community in general, right? And the best thing about the Champions program is that you know those people because they already exist in the community in various other things. So when I say, okay, do you know this champion? If he's a champion, then that means that I have already had some sort of experience with him, whether he answered one of my questions in the SOLIDWORKS forum, or I actually attended one of his presentations in a user group, or something like that, right? And these are the things that a real champion would present. The thing that he's always trying to help the community and serve the community more and more, even at the expense of his own time at sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing. You know, getting into the champions program in the beginning and being a champion still till now and even for in the future, and also giving out to the community as much as they've provided. That's amazing. And
And
like you
that
said,
this is
you
actually, this point is actually one of the main points that most people actually don't get. They think a champion is like this award or the badge that you wear on your shirt and that's it. But that's really not it, because for example, and this is a true story, back when I was accepted in the champions program, I was only a CWP, right? Because I said that was 2020 and I still didn't have my CWE back then. And when I was accepted, at that time, someone reached out to me, and he was actually a certified SOLIDWORKS expert, so technically he had more skills than me. And then he reached out and told me that he actually did apply for the Champions program, but he didn't get accepted. And then I started asking him a couple of questions, and then started looking him up on the forum and on LinkedIn and different communities online. And I didn't find any online presence for him. So the thing is, you can have your skills, and that's great. But if you're not helping the community out, then what good are you for the community, right? Because this is the core of the SOLIDWORKS Champions program. It's for passionate users who are willing to go above and beyond and start sharing their tips and tricks, sharing their knowledge, helping others, giving feedback, and so on. So that not only do they have their own skills and knowledge, but they're also making sure that anyone else who may have access to a way of communication with them, whether it's like in-person meetings or even virtual meetings like we're doing right now, can have that knowledge shared with them as well.
Yes, that's amazing. I remember that when I first applied for the champions community, I wasn't a SWGN leader, and I'm still a CSWP. That's secondary. I wasn't a SWGN leader. I was still a CSWP, but still I was helping out the people in the community, whenever they required. So now it's a big thing. Like everyone should. I mean, it's a must thing when you are in a community of people who are helping each other. You should put your oh, I'm missing out on the word now. Uh,
It's just repaying back
yeah,
to
yeah,
what others did
exactly.
to you, right?
Yes,
Because as I
exactly.
said, I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't learn from others. So the least I can do is giving back to the community and sharing what I'm learning, and saying learning because I am still learning, remember, right? So it's this continuous process where not only are you helping yourself get better skills and knowledge and expertise, but you're also making sure that everyone else is getting access to what you're getting or what you've learned, and sharing that, whether it's like tutorials you're giving or answering people in the SOLIDWORKS forum, or maybe a mix of both, or doing like a presentation like I usually do, or maybe even this journey, this podcast you're creating, Prasad, where you're listening from notable members in the community and sharing their stories with other people, whether it's to help them get certified maybe, or just inspiring them to be better and do better in their lives.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, guys, and also now is the perfect time. From tomorrow, SOLIDWORKS Champions program is opening. The forms are opening again. So, if you are a contributor to the community, feel free to apply for the program. And the amount of knowledge that you can get from the champions program is humongous. I'm not kidding. Like before I joined into the SOLIDWORKS Champions program, I didn't know many. And after joining, I learned a lot of things, lot of knowledge, and I still have a notebook actually. Don't know where it is, but yeah, I have a notebook which is full of those informations, whatever I learned from the community, whatever I wanted to improve myself and in the SolidWorks journey. So it's an amazing platform for enthusiastic SolidWorks users who are willing to learn and also share the information with other users. So from April 1st to 31st, the forms are open. Make sure if you are a contributor, if your presence is everywhere in the community, make sure you become one of the applicants.
And
And
I
yeah,
want to add something, Prasad, as well. So remember what I said about certification. The first thing you have to do is just go and seek knowledge about what you're getting yourself into. The same thing for the Champions program. All you have to do is just go solidworks.com/champion, right? And then over there, you're going to find a webpage dedicated to explaining what a champion is. And then from there, you can go ahead and start learning more. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. But as I said, it's solidworks.com/champions. Okay, with an S at the end. And from there, you can see, know what the requirements are for a SOLIDWORKS champion, what the application process would be looking like, and stuff like that. And if you find yourself fit and you really see that you actually do have these qualifications, then by all means, go ahead and apply. And in a couple of months, you will be with us in one of the meetings and we're going to see you. And this is actually the top, the pinnacle of everything, because as I said, the CSWE community, that's like what, 7,500 people across the world. Well, guess how many champions are there? Only 500. And that's a fixed number. It's 500 users across the world, but not any users. As I said, they're skilled users, they're passionate users, there are people that are willing to go above and beyond and sharing what they have and dedicating their time to helping others. So it's this most welcome community of people who use the software that we all use and love all day long.
and also, it's not that you should be in the champions community to reach out to them. You can reach out to Yahya anytime you want. Like, he's a champion. You can still reach out to him on LinkedIn. And Eric, Betty, there are many people who are on LinkedIn. I think most of them are
Or
on
Prasad,
LinkedIn. Yeah. So you can reach out to any of the champions at any time if you have any questions in SolidWorks or you need any help with basically. I mean, you want to know more about SolidWorks or you're getting stuck with some problems. You can reach out to any of these community users, or you can post your question on the community as well. You get responses like this. Like, you don't even have to wait. So that's how fast the community is, not just the champions community but the SolidWorks community. So you can reach out to any of the champions whenever you want. If you need some help or some suggestions or guidance, feel free to reach out to the champions. You don't have to be in the community to reach out to them.
that's for sure.
So I forgot. Yeah, so I wanted to ask this question earlier but I forgot. So who was your first SolidWorks guru?
My first SolidWorks guru.
Yes.
Okay, so he's someone not many of you would actually know, but he was on GrabCAD because, as I said, GrabCAD is where I started. And on GrabCAD, there is this unknown member who started posting like thousands, literally thousands of models and animations and stuff on GrabCAD. And I did know his name later on, but he shared it with me personally, so I'm not going to share it publicly. But his name was Trinity SCSP. Okay, and if you go right now on YouTube, you're gonna find his channel where he posts animations of all his models. He's no longer on GrabCAD, and I'm also gonna post his name in the chat in here. But this guy, he had a bunch of tutorials as well on GrabCAD, but his models, he was the kind of guy that would create a model just for the sake of showing you the beauty of that model. And since the beauty of a model wouldn't be really shown from a still image or even a 3D view, he'd create animations. And this was where I really saw the real power of animations and SolidWorks animations, because he used to create very simple animations, moving things around and maybe like one thing that's rotating, some things that are moving around, maybe things disappearing and reappearing and stuff. But all of that, those simple techniques are for the one main goal of explaining more about what the mechanism he's showing you is and what it can be used for. And since it's just an animation, there is no video or anything, he's making sure that from that GIF on its own, from that short 5-second video or whatever, you've already got all the understanding you need of that mechanism without the need of any subtitles or any or like descriptions or anything. And that's what I really loved about animations later on. So maybe that's actually what got me into it at the beginning, because seeing how animations can be used to convey way more information than even a CAD model that's in between your hands, it was a great thing.
Yeah, and for those who are not on GrabCAD, I'll just share my screen to show Yahya's GrabCAD page. And this is Yahya's GrabCAD page. As you can see here, there are tutorials and there are models. I mean, when I think I am following you, but I'm not logged in here. Yeah. So yeah, these
Shaun the
are
Sheep
some
is
of.
over there.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one which he was talking about, Shaun the Sheep. There are many things. I mean, you must have seen this animation, the lantern animation, and this is one of this was in one of the animation sessions. This and this was in live. I mean, I remember a lot of things now. Now that I see this, like this, I'll just share the link and the models in the chat section.
Yeah, and the best thing is looking at these actually, this actually shows me the progress that I went through, because some of these, I can open the CAD model right now on my device and I go, okay, the way I created this model is not good at all, and let me just go and recreate it or something. And that actually really shows you how you've got like how you've learned a lot throughout those couple of years, right? And that's something that I actually encourage everyone to do. Go back through your files and stuff and see one of the oldest models that you create in SolidWorks and just diss yourself. Just look at that and say, okay, you can do better, and start recreating it. And that's a challenge for everyone. So one of these models, actually, if you scroll, I believe it's on the first page, it says a football, right? And I created that football in like 15 or 13 features or something. And then 1 or 2 years later, I went back to that model and said, okay, why don't I challenge myself to recreate the football in the least amount of features I could, right? And I can't really remember right now. You can check it in the description of that model, but I believe I only did it like 5 features or something with like 2 or 3 sketches or something. And it was the exact same geometry. But knowing that I could do that now, it was just like a challenge for myself to see where I am right now and how much I progressed in using SolidWorks.
I have a small question like this as well. Like, using this I think 1 or 2 years ago I just thought of this question. So, and I started asking this to almost everyone in my in the company. So all of my colleagues, basically, just to know how much they know the software, or not just SolidWorks, basically any software. So the question is, there is a table. I can't show the design because I don't have the design now in the computer. So there's a table, and you had to create that table by just using two features. And there are only few people who can do this. I mean, I don't know, in at least in my workplace. But yeah, I will share that with you on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you can do it without a doubt. But yeah, that's one of the best things, always reducing the number of features. It's just gonna step you up the scale.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of something, because on GrabCAD, there were groups introduced, I believe in 2020 or something, on GrabCAD, or maybe even a bit before that. But one of the groups over there was a puzzles group, where all we did is just create new puzzles. It was called CAD Puzzles and Riddles, okay? And it was created by one of the most notable community members on GrabCAD as well, which was also a user group leader, by the way, in the Fredericksburg area in the USA. And we had this low feature count challenges where someone would just post a model, and the challenge was, let's recreate this model in the least number of features possible. And it was this ongoing thing where I believe we created like 30 challenges or something before we stopped. And it was super cool seeing how it was not only for SolidWorks, but it was for all different design software out there, where someone would be using like Inventor, or someone would be using like Onshape, someone would be using CAD software that I've never heard of before. And then we would all compete and see how we could recreate this. And sometimes one software would have a feature that would be like super easy to use in this model and make you do it in like less than anyone else. And then in another case, that feature wouldn't exist in your CAD software and you wouldn't be able to do it. And it was always SolidWorks that came on top. I remember that there was never a challenge of those where I would ever experience something that I want to create and I didn't find a feature for it inside of SolidWorks, even if I would hack my way through it, but it was always there. So that was always the indicator of, okay, you're learning more and more and you're using the software and challenging yourself all the time.
That's amazing. I mean, that's actually the best thing of SolidWorks. I mean, all the features are available in the
Command
again,
manager.
yeah, exactly. Like you don't even have to search, and you can. There are so many shortcuts, and you can just search for the tools. I mean, if you just know the name, you can search, and then you get the tool. That's one of the best things of SolidWorks. And uh, I mean, again, I forgot what I wanted to ask. Or well, anyways, now moving forward, now we got to know about your SolidWorks Champions journey. Coming to the very recent journey you had, like this was a physical journey as well, from Egypt to US 3D Experience World 2024. How was this? How was it?
Amazing.
One word.
That's all I'm gonna say. It was amazing.
Like we heard a
Okay,
lot
let me
about your.
elaborate. Let me elaborate. Okay,
Yeah.
you deserve more than this. Okay, so the best thing is I already knew pretty much most of the people that I met over there. Obviously, I met a lot of new people, a lot of new faces. Networking over there was great. But the people who I was always running into, these are people that I've known for years inside the community. But whether it's just behind a username or even face-to-face in Zoom meetings like this, but it's always inside of this box, right? In this Zoom window. So seeing people in real life over there, it was something different. And one of the most, like, the number one comment that I got from pretty much everyone is like, "Oh, you're taller than I expected." And I actually loved that comment because it really meant that now you know another depth of who I am, right? So you always know me in this 2D thing, and now there's this new depth where you know my voice better because you're seeing me face to face. You know how I look like because you're seeing me without a webcam feed, and you're also seeing the rest of my body and stuff. And we can now sit together like on a single table and discuss something that we love or walk together and stuff. And obviously, I'm now talking about the community aspect of 3D Experience World, but that's really the thing that takes you away when you go there. So the moment you arrive and you're like surrounded with everyone, everyone is now, you know for a fact that they all are fans of the same thing that you're a fan of, whether it's SolidWorks, whether it's something deep inside of SolidWorks like animations maybe or anything else. And that's the cool thing, where you're in a community where you know that anyone here, if you say a joke maybe about SolidWorks, everyone's gonna laugh because they're all gonna understand it. If you say something like, "Hey guys, my favorite feature is X," and in a moment you can create a new discussion where someone is going to hop in and say me too, and someone else is going to say no, I love this, and this discussion that's just created from nothing about something that we all love is just amazing. Obviously, as I said, this is just the community aspect. There's obviously other aspects as well. Going into general session, running into general session and sitting in the front row seats and seeing all of these people on main stage, whether it's new things that are added to the software or announcements of collaborations that are done with other software, or even stories about people sharing them. But I'm not seeing this from a screen anymore. I'm now in their live. I can see them, I can talk to them. Later on, I can run into them in any hallway and just start a conversation with them, which I did a lot of times, right? And this is the beauty of it. And obviously there's more and more. I can keep going and going on things like the playground, where you could see these amazing creations that people have been doing, and the Maker Zone and Model Mania, and also the manufacturing space, the shop floor. And put all of that aside, now comes the information sessions, where we go to breakout sessions or meetup sessions and start learning more and more. And again, as I'm saying, you're not just learning from afar, like virtually, but sitting in the same room with someone. It's just different. And I first experienced this when I went and I presented for my very first in-person SWUG meeting. That was last year, I believe in October or November. It was here in Egypt, and I traveled like 150 kilometers to Alexandria to present over there. And there was only like 60 attendees in the meeting, but I felt like a different feeling, because now I can see the people's reactions to what I'm saying, and I can see that they understand and they like what I'm saying. And if I say a joke, they would laugh at it instantaneously, and this vibe was different. And 3D Experience World is simply that, but on steroids, where instead of being in a room of 60 people or 70 people, now you're in rooms where there's thousands of people. So 3D Experience World, we've got like, what, 5,000 people? So when you're in general session and they say something and you hear people saying, yeah, this yeah is not from 1 or 2 or 50 or 60, but it's like from thousands. All of these people passionate about the same thing that you're passionate about in the same room with you. So it's an amazing experience. And it was like a couple of days long, but at the end of it, you're like, I can't believe it has to end. But knowing that you can come back next year and experience this once again, now that's really something that I'm really looking forward to.
Wow. And also in the meantime, you can show your t-shirt as well if you want to
Yeah, for sure.
the yes, that is from the world. So
I did
uh
get that from World. So
and
actually, another thing, because I'm sure Prasad, you would like this, and many other people. Going to World, obviously this was all great, but there was another aspect as well, which is meeting employees that work for SolidWorks or the Sol Systems and having the opportunity to talk to them and share your own experiences with them. So I spent hours, literally hours, whether it's with people from the product development team or people from product definition team or with user experience teams, or even people that are responsible for the website of SolidWorks.com. And you can sit with them and share your experience and tell them, okay, I like this, I don't like this. These toolbars are very far away and I can't reach them. Or this, if this could be changed, that would be better, and so on. And you can start sharing your experiences. And who knows, maybe your input is actually taken into consideration at some point, along with someone. Maybe it's something that many people like, and at some point it will actually be added, whether it's to the software or to the platform or to the website, and so on. So being able to sit with those developers and share your experiences with them, that's something that's not as direct as it is as in World. You can obviously share your experiences in many other ways and forms, whether it was like with your seller or anything else. But sitting with them in the same room or maybe in like a discussion and having the ability to share with them face to face, that's super cool, right?
yeah, I
And
mean,
obviously you get some amazing swag.
yes, that's I mean the first part was actually very true, having to interact with the product definition team and the UX team right in front of you and sitting in the same room, having conversation face to face. That's an amazing thing. It's definitely one of the best things. I mean, have you met Tawfiq by any chance?
I did. I
Yes.
spent like
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours throughout the whole event with him. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Having the opportunity to share your experiences. Me as a user, what's the number one thing that I'd love from SolidWorks? To take my input and consider it and look into it and so on, right? And the easiest way to do that is to sit with those people, those decision makers, and tell them, okay, this is what I'd like, this is what I don't like, this is how I'd like it, this is how I wouldn't like it. And then we'll gather this information and process it and start coming up with new stuff for us in the next edition of SolidWorks, right? And this is the best way to do it, as I said, face to face.
One of the benefits of attending 3D experience was, so it's not just that you're
For sure.
meeting people, you're also meeting the people who are creating the software, who are making betterments to the software, and you can share your inputs directly with them and make sure that they get their user feedbacks directly from the users in the 3D experience world.
And something else,
That's
by the way, it's not only sharing your input, but maybe you actually have a question for them. So why did you do this? Or why is this feature performing in this way? Sitting with those are the experts. They are the guys who created these tools for you. So sitting with them and asking them these questions, that was also great. And that's something that I did as much as I could. Whenever I could sit with anyone from the teams that are working behind the scenes to get us the SolidWorks and 3 Experience platform that we all use and love, I would ask them questions that I know for a fact that no mere user would be able to answer for me, because these questions need someone who's working behind the scenes to answer them for me. And that was great, right? And maybe if I send them a message online, I could get the answer. But that's something. And sitting with them face to face, sharing a drink or something, and asking them these questions and having fun, that's something totally different. And that's the thing. Once you try it, you'd never go back. I know it's not the best sentence to use in this case, but trust me, once you go to 3D Experience World, you're never going back.
it's the best thing. I mean, for me, it's still virtual. and I've
Yeah,
had the
we're
chance
gonna work
to.
on that. We're gonna work on that. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly correct. Like, having a conversation face to face is nothing comparable to virtual conversations. I mean, even this, I know this is a podcast and everything, but still, if it was a virtual I mean, if it was a physical podcast, that would have been over here, and virtual is somewhere over here, I'd say. I mean, this is way beyond where virtual is. That is so, so true. And
By the way, the best thing as well, let me, I keep thinking of more and more things because, as I said, there are many takeaways from World. But one of the best thing is I can sit in one room knowing that this guy's from Australia, this guy's from India, this guy's from the UK, and I'm from Egypt. And every single one of us is like from a different continent. And we're all here in the same room, sharing our experiences and sharing our thoughts together in one room. And it's not just experiences and thoughts about SolidWorks, but other things as well. So I went there and got some dates with me, some Egyptian dates, and I was just handing them out, and people would love them, right? And that's the thing. As I said, there's this human aspect of each and every one of us that you get to experience in person when you meet them at World, and that's something that's really not that presented when you meet people virtually, right?
yes, and one of the things I heard from the word was that Yahya was everywhere, like
Yeah.
giving out the swag kits, and in the sessions, and in the general session, and in the playground, everywhere. So, how did you manage to be in all places?
Well, two things. One, I got the best trainers I could get because I ran a lot throughout those couple of days. And number two, it's just passion. So when I'm sitting somewhere and I hear, okay, well, right now there is this thing that's being announced in the playground, I go running because I don't want to miss that. And in a moment, okay, let me check my calendar. I've got this session that I have to run to. Let's go there. And after the session, okay, I've got like 10 or 15 minutes of free time. Let's go to the hive maybe and to have a chat with multiple people and so on. You just try to fill the couple of days that you're there. Because as I said, this isn't something that you do every day. It's once every year. So you're just making sure that you're coming back from World with as much takeaways as you can. Because I don't want to be that kind of guy who will come back from World and say, ah, if only I didn't go and do this, and instead I went to check this out. Or maybe if I went to attend that session in person, or maybe I missed that thing. I don't want to come back and say, okay, if only I did this and if only I did that. Being there in person, obviously I had some plans before I went, but some of these plans have to change because on the spot, you know, okay, some things is now popping up. And are these worth it? Yes, let's go. And that's it. That's pretty much it. If you're passionate about something, you're gonna go running for it. And as I said, going back to number one, have your best running shoes with you because the place is massive and you run a lot.
Like yesterday, I heard from Danny that general session was very far from her, from the place where she was. She had to give a session afterwards, and that was basically on the opposite side. Like, I just imagine how.
Yeah,
I mean,
you could
that was the
walk.
map.
You could walk for like 10 minutes inside of the building and still not reach the end of it. It
Wow,
was really massive.
I should get my shoes ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
also
So,
multiple floors. So you might be in one
oh,
floor and then take the stairs of the elevator to another floor. And it's a big
oh,
place.
wow. I thought it was just the
No, no,
floor, the
no.
ground floor.
It's
Okay.
massive. Yeah. And next
Wow.
year, so actually one of the main things that I did as soon as I came back from World, or actually I believe I actually did it while I was there. On the third day, they announced where it's going to be next year. It's going to be in Houston. And then I checked and I found the convention center that they're going to make it in. And the first thing I did was just Google that convention center, see where it is, how big it is, maybe any plans for it. I'm just preparing for next year so that I know that when I'm going, I know how much I'm going to run or how much I'm going to walk. And I know also the surrounding area, any restaurants in the area or any hotels or whatever. I'm just preparing for next year because as I said, on the last day when everyone's saying goodbye, no one actually wants to say goodbye. It's this family gathering that you do once a year, or at least in my case, it's once a year because I can't go to the US every single month or every single time. I'd love to, right? I would love to, but it's just not possible. I have to settle for this virtual thing for now. But when an opportunity like this comes, I have to take it. And as I said, I take it as much as I could because I don't want to come back saying, ah, I missed that.
That's great. Wow. So many takeaways from world. But I know you loved the entire world. It was an amazing experience. But if you had to choose one best of all from 3D Experience World 2024, which one would that be?
That's gonna be super tough.
Yes, it is.
What was the best thing? It's definitely gonna be meeting all these people in person and seeing them for real, touching me. When I went there, I was hugging everyone. So when I went, I believe the first one I met was Muhammad Hussein, which was also from Egypt. So, but he traveled on his own. So that was technically the first one I met. After that, I met Muhammad al-Mujtaba from Sudan, but he's been living in America for quite a while. And when I met him, the first thing, take him into my arms. And after that, I believe I met Joe Lance, and the same thing. Everyone I was meeting, I also met Dan over there before World, and also everyone I'm meeting, I'm just taking them in line because this is the first time in like 3 or 4 years that I've been known these people, that I'm meeting them in person, and it's just an experience that it's not easily you can't top that. You
Quantifiable.
simply
Yeah.
can't top that. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Oh,
So many
sorry, I
things.
actually met Leonard before I
Oh,
met
okay.
Muhammad Mustafa. Yeah,
Oh,
Leonard, I met
wow.
him the
I
day
think
I
I saw a
landed.
picture of you, Muhammad, and Leonard, if I'm not
That was the
wrong.
next day. So on the day I landed, I met Leonard later that day. Yeah. Because when I arrived there, I started sending everyone I knew that has already arrived and like, what should I do? Where can I meet you guys? I need to be somewhere right now. I can't just stay still, knowing that like 5 blocks away, there's someone that I've been knowing for the past like 3 or 4 years. All right. So I just had to go somewhere. So the first one who got back to me was Leonard, and we met each other on the day I reached there. The next day I met Muhammad al-Mujtaba, and so on. And we kept meeting people more and more and more and so on.
So basically, you were an electron at an excited state.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm a
I was
little.
attracting SOLIDWORKS users.
uh, I mean, I can relate to physics a lot more than others. So that's the thing that came to my mind. Like when you said you were like, I can't sit, I couldn't just sit there. I'm like, he is that electron.
Yeah.
Amazing. So this electron is again getting ready for next year in Houston.
For sure. As I said, I got my, and something else I shared it earlier before we started, which is bags. You're gonna get tons of swag from over there. So get as many bags as you can with you, because you're gonna come back with them full of stuff. So even if you have to go with an empty bag, do that, because when you're coming back, it's gonna be far from empty, right? This is just one of like 4 or 5 t-shirts I came back with, right? I came back with a lot of swag. And that's the thing. If I had known before that I would come back with all of that, I would have preferred. But at least I started manage. So I spent like an hour and a half packing my bags to come back. That's how much swag I got, and that's how much effort it took me to start packing bags inside of bags just to make sure I'm not over the limit or anything. So had I known that before, I would obviously have like made some arrangements and stuff. So that's something for you guys as well.
Now you know for next year.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So it
How
was.
about this? Maybe we could do this like in November or something, where we do this session. Hey guys, World is coming up. This is what you should
Yes.
prepare, and get your biggest bag, get your best trainers, and so on.
Yeah,
It would be,
actually you can do that, the video
I
you
actually
have.
did that as soon as I came from World in
Uh,
like 1 week or something. After I
yeah,
came from
yeah.
World, I gave a virtual presentation on the main takeaways, but that was obviously like in the heat of the moment where I'm still remembering everything. And by the way, in that meeting, I was fully dressed in SOLIDWORKS swag.
Oh my God.
So things like a hat, a t-shirt, a bandana. I think I was wearing this t-shirt. So just a sec.
Oh yes, the
Yeah, I was
SOLIDWORKS
wearing this t-shirt
champions.
and a CWE bandana and a
Oh
draft
yeah,
signed
yeah.
cowboy hat, and obviously the long lanyard with all the badges attached to it. I was in the vibe, showing people how it feels to be when you're there. And
I
that's
think
the
you were
thing.
wearing the cowboy hat and other bag and everything in the Leonard's
Yeah.
picture.
At some point, I was actually wearing that hat, and someone handed me a cap for SOLIDWORKS for makers, and I
Oh,
didn't know what to do with it, so I just put it on
put
top
on
of
the
the
cap.
cowboy hat. And there's actually a picture of me, like wearing the cowboy hat with the cap on top of it, and I believe it was shared on the official SOLIDWORKS social media channels, and it was great seeing that.
Wow. So
Yeah, so
so
I think I
many
actually have it with me over here.
great.
Let me check real quick. Yeah, but keep going. Yeah.
So yeah, so many memories from 3D Experience World. I mean, that was just from first year. Wow, that's truly
Yeah.
amazing.
I actually did get that comment a lot. People are saying, are you sure this is your first year? So here I am. And if you look at this dude over here,
Oh yeah.
cowboy hat with the SOLIDWORKS
Well,
for Makers tab.
but I still can't believe that's you, you know? I mean,
Yeah, it was, as I said, when I went there, I was Texasized. So we were obviously in Texas. And I was wearing the bandana and the cowboy hat and everything. I was living it, right?
you
So
can bring
yeah,
your
it
cowboy
was a
boots
different
next
thing.
time. You
It's
can
in
bring your
Houston, also in Texas. Also in
yeah,
Texas.
next
Nowhere
time
else
is
in
also in Texas. You can bring
Yeah.
your cowboy shoes if you
I
have.
think I would also bring my cowboy hat with me.
Great, that's great.
Yeah,
Wow. So many amazing stuff, so many amazing knowledge, and so many memories. Wow, that's
that's for sure.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I can go on, but unfortunately, we are at the edge of time, and we are actually we have gone beyond the time. But
Really?
anyway,
But
yeah, it
when you're
seems.
talking about something that you're really passionate about, time just
Yes.
flies by.
I mean, I mean, I didn't check the time, and then there was a text popping up, and then I was like, something has popped up, and my mouse moved at the time zone, and it's like it was showing something which I couldn't believe because I was still thinking maybe it's just 35 minutes from the time we
Yeah.
started, but wow, that's amazing. So many great memories, so many. Uh, I'm again losing the word. It's just all those informations that you just gave. It was just amazing just to listen. I mean, forget about being there. I mean, I'm excited for 2025 now already, and I hope many of you guys are also excited for SolidWorks 3D Experience World. I'm sorry, SolidWorks World was previously 20 before 2020, but yeah, it was very amazing. I mean, um, okay, I'm so sorry. I was about to continue, and yeah, I could continue. There are many, lot more things we could discuss, and we can just keep on going. But as we are at the edge of time, unfortunately, I'll have to stop here. But we can have you again, and
Yeah, I'd love to.
yes, and like before 2025 World, we can do that. Uh, before attending the World, what you should do, how you should pack your bags, one of the things that you should do. I mean, because you have the experience now and you already done it before, how to pack your bag. You shared your information on how to pack your bags before to the champions.
Yeah. Number one, sit on top
Yeah.
of your bag so that everything is squished down and you can close it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Yahya, for being with us here today as our guest at Coffee with the SolidWorks Champion. It was truly amazing to know your journey in SolidWorks, how you started your journey, and from where you were to from where you are now, and your SolidWorks animation journey, SolidWorks certification journey. It was really amazing. But before we end the session, there are a few questions from Naeem. So he was asking. He's curious. What's your favorite command in SolidWorks?
My favorite command. Okay, so I've got two. One is my favorite sketching command, and that's obviously gonna be the segment tool. The
Okay.
moment I realized that this tool exists inside of SolidWorks, I've been using it non-stop. Okay, it's not shown in the command manager, so you have to go either in the toolbars or in the search to get it.
Yeah.
And the moment I started using it, I dragged it and I put it inside of my command manager, in my customized command manager, and I never stopped using the segment tool. When it comes to features, it has to be the indent command. Indent is
Oh,
just
yes.
perfect. So if you've been using the combine command, just put that on steroids. It's just amazing.
Yes. Great. And one more question we have, that is, Can you tell us how to get the exam for free? I mean, you can never get away with SOLIDWORKS certificate without having a SOLIDWORKS certification question from any session, I
Yeah,
guess.
for sure. So there are actually multiple ways to get exams for free. The easiest way is to follow me on LinkedIn, because whenever an opportunity like that arises, I always make sure to post and describe all the steps that I have to go through on my page over there. So linkedin.com/in/YTKHEDR, YT Khedr, and over there you're gonna find my profile. I always make sure to share. There was actually an opportunity like that just this last week, which was for the 3D Experience 3D Swimmer exam. It was available for free, and I actually posted about that before even the 3D Experience Edu page on LinkedIn even posted. So yeah, that's something. But in general, there are some main ways. So if you're still a student, the first thing to check is with your university or your school. Check with them, see if they are an academic certification provider. And in that case, you can get your exams from them for free. If you're a graduate, then you can see for your job. If your job is on subscription, so not just that they have a license of SOLIDWORKS, but they have to be on subscription. If they are, every 6 months, they get like 3 exams for free per seat of SOLIDWORKS. So if they have like 10 seats, that means that they've got 30 exams every 6 months, like 60 exams every year for free, right? So check up with those. But if neither of these actually apply to you, then just follow the right people. Whether it's me following the social media channels of SOLIDWORKS themselves and the 3D Experience educational team, or following also the SWUG leaders and SWUG members from all over the world, where maybe there's like a giveaway at some point in some of the, and that does happen. So I believe like it was also
Last
last
week.
week
Yes,
where
last week.
Muhammad al-Mujtaba, which
Muhammad.
we actually
Yes.
mentioned earlier in the podcast today, he was actually hosting a
Matthew Hall was
blogging
there
meeting
in
with
the,
Matt Hall,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
yeah. And there was this option for people to come in and join and leave their emails, and they would reach out for them with an opportunity to get certified also for free. So as long as you're involved in the community, you're gonna find these offers and opportunities arriving over and over again, all the way throughout the year, right? And sometimes, like in the big notable events, things like 3D Experience Worlds. So that's actually one thing. In 3D Experience World, if you go 1 day earlier, so with 3D Experience World, technically it's only 3 days, but it's actually 4 days if you go 1 day earlier. And on that day, you can take certifications for free. And this year, actually, you can take 2 certifications in person over there. Any 2 certifications for free if you're eligible. Even the CWE, the expert exam, was for free. And after you come back from World, you can take another 2 exams, or 1 depending on how you registered, till the end of February, also for free, right? So that's an opportunity. Something like SLUG.me, the SOLIDWORKS largest user group meeting ever. Throughout the past couple of years, they also started giving opportunities like that for free exams for those who attend the live stream, and so on. So just, as I said, make sure that you're active in the community and you're following the right people, and opportunities like these are going to arise over and over throughout the years. That's for sure.
Great. And one last question, one advice to all the SolidWorks enthusiasts out there. I mean, general advice.
Don't stop creating. You know, the thing is, we can always know that, okay, I'm skilled in SolidWorks, but at some point you might get really busy with something else that you figure out, okay, I haven't opened SolidWorks in like a month or something, right? And that's maybe because you use SolidWorks for your own job, maybe, or maybe for like a project and you stopped using it after that. But the thing is, if you start using SolidWorks for fun, like I do, then not only do you start learning more things about the software, but you also start having fun with the software. And that's one of the main things and the main aspects that I find with most of the passionate users. They don't just use it for their day-to-day job, but they also use it for having fun. Let's say, for example, my doorknob is broken and I want to like 3D print one. Okay, instead of buying one, I can just design myself one and just 3D print it and attach it. Or maybe like I have this project that I have in my mind, but this project is like a personal project. It's not going to give me money or anything, but it's just for fun. So in that case, why not And that's the cool thing. And that brings me to 3 Experience SOLIDWORKS for Makers, which gets you like it's less than $50 per year, and you get access to 3D Experience SOLIDWORKS Professional, and you get access to 3D Creator, which is X Design, and 3D Sculpture, which is X Shape, and NC shop floor programming for 2.5D milling, and you also get like Visualize Professional Connected, and all of these software just for $50 per year. And it's also available in India, right?
Yes,
Added
yes.
data last year, I believe. So there are a lot of opportunities for you to use this professional grade software, but for your own personal projects and just for fun, as I said. So when I create Shaun the Sheep inside of SOLIDWORKS, did I learn something? Of course, I learned a lot of features and different use cases and stuff, right? And that model was actually like, it was a bit over 100 features long, right? And having that many features and knowing how to deal with them, I figured out, okay, there's something called the freeze bar, which would stop some of the features from being rebuilt. And that helped me for performance reasons, right? If I had never got into a project that big, even if it's like Shaun the Sheep, I would never learn about the existence of something like the freeze bar, or at least not that soon, right? So even if you're working on something that might seem a bit simple, might seem a bit childish, you're still learning something about the software.
So guys, always keep creating
I,
stuffs. Yeah. No, I interrupted something. You were about to say something.
I was just saying, have fun. When
Yeah,
you're in
have
front of
fun.
SolidWorks, have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Well, thank you very much, Yaya, for all the amazing news, all the knowledge, and sharing your journey with us and the users today. And we're excited for your next session and also hopefully in BioSwag soon, pretty soon, for the continuation of this podcast. And thank you very much. I don't know how to end. That's one of the worst things of me.
Okay, let me
I
end
really
this for you. Thank you, Prasad, for making this
no.
possible and for giving us opportunities to share what we know and what we love with other people in the community.
It's a pleasure of mine, actually. I mean,
Guys, put
uh,
one in the chat for Prasad.
I mean, I really suck at ending something. It can be work sessions or podcast. Even the I mean, I try to. I mean, I have a note as well, but I keep forgetting that how when to say it.
Yeah.
I still have it actually. I don't know where it is, but it is somewhere in the book. But I just forget that entirely, and then I don't want to end actually, but I have
Yeah,
to.
that's the feeling. As I said, when you're passionate about something,
Yes.
you really don't want it to end. But
Yeah.
yeah, until we meet in person soon.
Yes. Yes. See you soon, Yahya, and thank you
Yeah,
very
see
much
you,
for
Prasad.
sharing your journey. And we are excited for your future journeys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day and see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.